Has everyone read the agenda? Are there any changes that need to be done? If there are any, please raise your hand.
Nope, looks good.
Bruce, you had something you wanted to add to the agenda? Bruce Griffith? I guess not. I guess we have the agenda.
Sorry, I was muted. Didn't realize it. Yes, I have a guest speaker coming tonight. He will probably arrive about 7:30. His name is Chase Bonner, and he is the owner of Parrott's Bar and Grill up here in Firestone. He's one of the bar owners that's been affected by the state's suspension of liquor licenses.
Okay, if the board is okay with that, without opposition, we'll add that to the agenda. After the LNC report, that should give us sufficient time.
And it appears that Chase has arrived.
Okay, wonderful. So we will just put it on public commentary. He's going to need more than the 3 minutes. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is the board okay with allowing the guest longer than 3 minutes?
Yeah.
How much longer?
How much longer?
I think the number that we had discussed is 10 minutes.
And what is this pertaining to again?
It's pertaining to the state of Colorado pulling liquor licenses for the offense of opening bars. Chase has more details, obviously.
Right. If we can start by, there are no changes to the agenda other than that. Is the board okay with that 10 minutes?
Yes.
Any opposed? Speak now. Without opposition, we're going to allow the guests to speak for 10 minutes. We will allow the other guests to speak first. Introduce guests, 3 minutes each, 20 minutes total. You are?
I'm Ryan.
Ryan.
Ryan Kane. Just here out of a curiosity, kind of to see what's going on, introduce myself.
Having a hard time hearing.
I'm going to stop my video, but here. Speak into my computer if you would.
Speaking in your computer.
That way everyone online can hear you.
Hello, everyone online. Yeah, I'm just a guy that came in to as a kind of a curiosity and to offer some assistance at LPCO Colorado. Live in Denver. I lived in Boulder for 6 years. Just bought some property in Clear Creek County, and I was looking at the affiliates page in the LPCO Colorado, and there's nothing listed for Clear Creek. So kind of curious how I could get involved and potentially maybe become an affiliate with that county.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Ryan. Thank you for being here. Mike? No? Mike Seebeck is here. Wayne Harlos is here. Karen Ann Harlos is here. Are there any guests online?
How do you spell Ryan's last name?
Kane. All right. Chase Bonner, Bonner. If you'd like to speak, go ahead. Introduce yourself and let us know.
Hi, my name is Chase Bonner. I own Parrot Sports Grill in Firestone, Colorado. I probably will not use up all of my 10 minutes, but the way I would like to begin is by giving you guys a little bit of a rundown on our situation and then possibly allow some question and answer just in case you guys have any. So to begin, I've owned this restaurant now for about 2.5 years. We bought it in Firestone. It's been around for probably closer to 15. And during that time, the first year that we were involved was actually the most lucrative year the business has ever seen, by a margin of about 200,000 or so. So it was a pretty good year for us. We were, of course, right on track with that growth so far through, of course, January and February. And then, well, March came along and things changed for us a little bit. So when Polis originally announced some of his guidelines, we elected to just kind of fall in line. The way that it was originally kind of explained was, we'll close down for a month, maybe 2, and this will blow over and we'll be able to reopen and Colorado economy will remain strong. We'll continue forward as though this were behind us. And I think, of course, we all know that the reality of that situation now is very, very different. We ended up staying closed from late February until almost June. That we decided to go ahead and stay closed because for us, it was so much more cost effective to have our facilities shut down and non-functional to save the revenue that we could, cutting down on our utility bills, cutting down on our orders, cutting down on things like that. While we would only be able to offer delivery services, et cetera, we were seeing approximately 5% of our typical revenue. So for us, it simply did not make sense to continue to open or to even try to reopen until people were allowed to dine in, even under limited circumstances. We got to about June and some of the circumstances had started to change. We had our color wheel and everything was starting to look like we had a really firm, very stable plan in place. So we reopened in June. We brought back the overwhelming majority of our staff. We did lose a few to natural attrition that I must say we've been unable to replace, even in spite of pretty desperate need. But coming back was a little bit of an adventure all on its own, having to space our tables out 8 to 10 feet apart, severely limited the number of dine-in customers we were able to. But to take that even further, though we had the ability to seat more than the 50 limit, we had to cap that at 50 as well. So we did choose to go ahead and follow those orders and to be fairly strict in the protocol. And what we found pretty quickly was the fact that we were still only going to be making around 20% of our revenue. Now, we're in a unique position. My background is actually commercial financial development for large organizations and entities. So we had already kind of built our operations around a low cost, high profit, high margin. So we were able to continue to be able to pay the bills, to be able to pay the employees. Unfortunately, we weren't able to pay any of the owners, including myself. Simply, there just wasn't enough money. We chose to prioritize our employees throughout pretty much this entire process. And by doing so, we have been able to stay alive. Now, that brings us to roughly current, as I'm sure most of you are aware. I want to say it was right about 3 weeks ago now. Polis announced that he would be moving the wheel to red for Weld County and for several other counties at that same time. Now, throughout this period, just in case you guys are not familiar with Weld County, we're if we are not the largest, we're pretty close to the largest county in the state. And we encompass Fort Collins, we encompass Greeley, we encompass Firestone, Frederick area. It's a pretty large span north and south on I-25, and then continues out east as well. So Weld County, from the very beginning, has elected to take Governor Polis's orders more as what they are. This is an emergency situation. This is what we're advising. This is what we believe that needs to be followed. But at the end of the day, Weld County believed it was ultimately up to the people to make their own choices with regard to their own freedoms. They were not enforcing the governor's orders. They did not ask us to operate at 50%. We chose to. And unfortunately, that damaged our business. You go 4 months with no revenue and then come back to only 20% revenue. It starts to get real tight real quickly. At that point, moving to red, Polis had said, hey, guys, we're going to let the counties manage this. CDPHE is not able to manage the entire state. So we're asking all the counties to step up and manage this according to how they see fit. Weld County, of course, declined. They made the statement that, again, this is a violation of personal freedoms, and we believe that people have the right to make their own choices. So the message that we were receiving both from our locality as well as our county was that we should be staying open. We were encouraged, and that's an exact quote from both our Weld County commissioners as well as our mayor in Firestone. We've spoken to all the sheriffs. We did our best to do our due diligence, and we also did our best to maintain following the yellow's restrictions. Now, this is where that story turns and gets very, very interesting. Back in April, Governor Polis decided that he was going to put in place an order allowing Colorado Liquor Enforcement Division, which is a subsidiary of the Department of Revenue, to enforce these orders that were public health orders. Now, what's interesting about this is not Colorado Public Health Department enforcing these orders. This is not a county enforcing its guidelines. This is an external, unrelated third party that was drafted by the governor of the state of Colorado to come in and shut restaurants down by force should it be required. Now, we were very first contacted roughly 3 or 4 days after Polis put this order in effect and told, hey, we've sent somebody by on a quick drive-by. We've noticed you're out of compliance. Unfortunately, if you don't come into compliance, we will come back and we will put you underneath a suspension. Now, for those of you who don't know, in the bar and restaurant industry, alcohol typically accounts for around 60, if not 70% of our revenue. So go ahead and take that into account with regards to that 20% that we were earning. You can essentially go ahead and deduct 70% of that 20%, if that makes any sense. And so for us, this was been an absolutely devastating blow. So we decided that we would close down for a few days and take some time to evaluate and speak with some of our leadership, both at the state level, the county level, the city level, to get some good direction on how to move forward. The direction we received was pretty much the same. We encourage you to stay open. Your business can't survive. And to be very, very blunt, that is the truth. When this order came into effect, had we decided to follow it, we would have been insolvent before the order ended. There would have been no business. The last 10 years of my life working and saving every penny to purchase a business would have simply evaporated in smoke. But where that gets even more interesting is that my home is leveraged against that business. So to lose the business means I lose my personal home. I have employees that have just had their first child, that there are no cook jobs. There are no restaurant jobs. He cannot just simply go and find another position for which to feed his family. His significant other it was a rough pregnancy for her. She is not physically able to go to work, and I think all of us could agree that she shouldn't have to. But the position that I was put in by the Department of Liquor was to choose to stay closed and lose everything and cost my employees their jobs, their salaries, their revenue, many of them their homes, many of them their vehicles, many of them the ability to purchase groceries. That's something that I, as a business owner, just couldn't allow. I believe that as an owner, we have a commitment to our employees to make sure that we provide for them through thick and thin. They agree to come and to work and to provide excellent service for me. I owe them that in return. So at the end of about 4 days, we elected to go ahead and reopen in order to give our employees a chance, to give us a chance to find a way to survive. So at that point, we opened and we stayed open for about a week before we heard from Department of Revenue again. Supposedly they sent someone into our facilities despite no trespassing signs, which, to be very, very honest, we did not expect to work. But they did come in, and of course then they left and called us about an hour later to let us know they'd noticed we were still violation and to ask whether or not we wanted to come in line. We chose not to answer that question, I think for obvious reasons. The following morning, about 3 minutes after my doors were opened by one of my head bartenders and our head chef, Liquor Enforcement Division stopped by. When they stopped by, they went ahead and walked right in, walked up to our bartender and asked her who was in charge that day. She informed him it was our head chef. They walked into our kitchen, handed our head chef a stack of paperwork and 2 signs that we needed to post letting the public know that we had received a suspension. After a few what I would call choice words that I would hesitate to repeat here, our head chef escorted them from our restaurant and sent them on their way, letting him know he would contact me. On that day, our liquor license was suspended. And from what we've been told, we can expect that suspension to either be extended, to be levied fines, and possibly to experience me going to jail for up to a year for violation of a public health order. Again, being enforced by a department that has absolutely nothing to do with the Colorado Department of Public Health and has absolutely nothing to do with the county that Polis put in charge of enforcement. Our situation, thankfully, for those few days and standing up, we were able to receive more business than I've seen us have in this entire year. And it did put us in a position where we may be able to survive. But I think we all know that Polis has a bad habit of extending these orders. And that's what we're expecting. If this order is extended through the end of January, that'll be the end. And unless I'm willing to go to jail for a year, pay fines of up to $10,000, possibly have my employees arrested, possibly have my employees charged with misdemeanors, we have no way forward. The government has all but refused to work with us. As you guys know, the federal government at the moment is at a stalemate with regards to its relief for small business owners. There's nothing left out there for us to go and seek help. So the path that I've chosen to kind of follow in response to that has been a little bit more of the political one. Looking to organize sit downs with our governor to have the opportunity to express possible options. The primary one that I'm suggesting is, if you guys are familiar with the plastic that painters use to cover your home when they're painting, it's very possible for us to order several rolls of that and actually suspend it from the ceiling all the way down to the floor, thereby creating cubicles that are transparent. We have the ability to put filters over holes so that if you want to be able to talk between tables, you're able to without any risk. We have the ability to provide ways to sanitize those spaces after each and every visit to make sure that there's no risk of spread. And this option has never even been considered. There are several more that I've been working with some of our legislators on, and unfortunately, we're having almost no traction with that. We haven't taken it to the federal level yet, but to be perfectly honest with all of you, I'm not even sure how to begin that process. To say this has been an incredible challenge would be putting it very, very, very mildly. I'm currently working with somewhere in the neighborhood of about 250 businesses, with more reaching out to join up every day in pursuing legal action against the state, not only for the damages that they've caused, but to explore the legality of these orders, to explore the legality of liquor enforcement enforcing public health orders. And at this point, I'm sure, as you all know, once you file a lawsuit, it's sit back and wait, and then hurry up and wait. And our expectation is that this suit will provide us no relief before it is far too late. My hope is that in communicating with you guys, we'll be able to find some ideas, some ways to move forward. At this point, I'm literally willing to get on my knees and beg for help if that's what it comes down to. And I can show you at least 100 restaurants that are in the same position. We just don't know what to do. And any advice that you guys are able to offer, any help that you guys are able to offer in our way forward is all I can ask from you this evening. And that's all I have. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Chase. When Colorado started the reopen movement, it was the Libertarian Party of Colorado that started it.
Amazing.
We organized that first protest in April when I was told that wait another week and we'll be allowed to open. Right?
I remember those days.
Yeah, that was the beginning of April. And we organized that very, very first protest on April 19th. We ended up with 4,000 to 5,000 people in the Capitol lawn and about 9,000 people circulating in cars around.
Wow.
That did absolutely nothing.
It's been our experience as well.
We have written letters to the governor. We have written letters to the sheriffs not to enforce. We have protested. We don't know what else to do. We've organized. I was at several of the meetings where you guys, not in your county, but down south, where some of the business owners organized to just go ahead and open anyway. If you have 250 people that would be willing to do this, that might help. Have you heard of the 5-star rating that is allowed in Mesa County?
I have, and after doing some research on it, they're asked, oh, sorry, I think I'm muted.
No,
Nope.
you're fine. We can hear you.
So after doing some research on it, effectively what they're asking is counties first and foremost have to certify whatever color is on the spectrum at that time, which Weld County has refused to do, as they believe to do so would be an acknowledgement of an illegal, unconstitutional order. Some of you may have read the letter from our district attorney. But the other thing that it's asking restaurants to do is to space tables a minimum of 10 feet apart. Now, I have a fairly large space in my restaurant, but I'm going to tell you, we measured it out. I can fit a maximum of 5 tables, and I'm actually short by about 2 inches to do that. And that's 5 tables of 4 individuals. when my
Wow.
normal capacity is 130.
Wow.
As much as I understand trying to find middle ground, this seems more like the same type of placative measure that our legislators took with the tax returns and things like that. They're wanting to wave their hands and say we're doing something when the reality is it doesn't help the other side at all.
Anyone else have any questions for Chase? Frank?
Chase, may I ask, have you been on the radio, and who might be your lawyer?
I have been on the radio. We're exploring. So I've been on Jimmy Lakey. And then there was one other show that you'll have to pardon me for not remembering the name of today. I've also been in the Longmont Times Call twice now. That story has been republished in a couple of other places I'm familiar with. And from what I've been told, several that I have not been able to locate.
I could give you Rush to Reason if you'd like.
That's the other one that I was on, was Rush to Reason. And then on top of that, we did a couple of interviews with Channel 7. I won't say they entirely twisted my words, but I won't say they displayed everything that I said the way I wanted it displayed. So we've been a little bit more hesitant with the public option, simply until we had a little bit more of what I would call progress on the legal side. So what we're looking at tonight is just getting together our budgets. One of the attorneys that we're exploring is the same one that did the Vandermeer suit. We're not sure how much headway we're going to make with that, just to be perfectly honest with you. It for us is a desperate attempt at coming from this. You know, my plan when I started trying to build some traction was to approach this as a three-pronged event. There's the legal aspect, there's the political aspect, and there's the social aspect. Social being as many people as we can get together. Surely they can't ignore us, but it looks like from what you guys are telling me that that's simply not true. They're perfectly willing to go right on ahead and ignore us. And frankly, that's been my experience as well. As far as the political side goes, we've worked with a few legislators. I've worked with most of our county commissioners, sheriffs, district attorneys, several county attorneys, just to try and put something together to try and find a loophole, try and find a way for restaurants to be able to move forward. And as you guys are now aware, there's not a whole lot of look on that. Circling back to there being 250 plus of us wanting to stay open, that's exactly what happened. All of us chose to go ahead and stay open, and effectively the liquor department came in and put the fear of God into everyone. And that was their exact goal. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about the Lions Den up in Lyons, but they actually took a SWAT team to clear out their entire liquor inventory, their entire alcohol inventory, and to just scare them. They've charged them with misdemeanors. They're looking at potential prison time. There's another lady out of Erie that's in the same situation. They went in, cleaned her out. She has since been released after being arrested, from what I've heard. But unfortunately, I can't risk my personal freedom. And I know that sounds, I guess what I would say is petty, but to ask people to sacrifice their personal freedom for something that we know is unconstitutional, there won't ever be repayment for that. And it certainly won't happen in the next 5 or 10 years. Constitutional law takes forever. Frank, did that answer your question?
Madam Chairman,
Hang on, John, I have Karen Ann with a question first, and then you can go.
Hello there.
Hi.
Hi, my name's Karen Ann Harlos. I'm the National Secretary for the National Libertarian Party. Question, when you were talking about possibly pursuing a legal route, do you already have attorneys?
We have 2 that we're reviewing. If you have some that you would like to suggest, I'd be open to them.
Yeah, I was just, when I was listening to your story, texting one I've been trying to get the state to threaten me because I want to sue, but for some reason, when I want the state to threaten me, they won't.
You should buy a bar.
Yeah, so I wrote him and said, hey, sounds like what could be a really great case here. This guy deals in this type of thing. You know, he's a libertarian, so he's always looking to sue the state over something. So I can put you guys in touch.
I would love that.
Okay, perfect. Also, would you be interested in being a guest on my YouTube channel? And I'll try to spread the word. I'm trying to goad the National Libertarian Party into speaking out more. And I think your story is very, very compelling. It's so easy to be quiet when you don't see a face. You know,
Okay. Yes, I would absolutely willing to be a part of anything you're willing to allow me to be a part of.
how would we get in touch?
I can shoot you my cell phone or an email if you'd like.
Yeah, here, let me give you my email because it's easy, and just write me.
One moment to grab something to write with. Maybe. All right, I'm ready when you are.
It's secretary@lp.org.
Well, that's easy.
Yeah. And I can put you in touch with the attorney I'm thinking of. His name is Chris Weist.
Okay.
I'll get all that. Yeah, he's really raring to go. So I'll put you guys in touch. You can see what you think. No obligation, obviously.
Sure.
And I'll make arrangements. I really want to get your story out there. It's compelling. And thank you for
participate in anything that you allow me to. That's been my goal all along. Just put it out there as loud as we can.
Some of us are really with you.
I appreciate it.
So, Madam Chair.
Well, John Pickerel was first, then you can go, Bruce.
All right, thank you. Well, I think what Karen Ann said trumps a little bit what I say, but I'll just add it for posterity's sake, I guess. You know, in the history of government bullies, they've never responded to us following their rules. It's always when the masses come out and they say, no, we're not going to follow this. We're not going to comply. As long as we do it with nonviolence and we do it with outstanding numbers, 9 times out of 10, they'll bow. That's the problem. And I think that Chase is coming to us because we're a political party, and he's looking to us as a political party as a pool of people that can come help him out. They can call it action and say, come to my bar, show up, be a mass of people. So when they do show up, they're not facing 5 people at a bar, they're facing 200 people at a bar. And that's a whole different story. As long as we stay nonviolent, that is. But that's a whole different story. So I just want to throw that out there. That's been my experience. That's been an experience of history. So for what it's worth.
Thank you, John. Bruce?
So a little more context. And Chase knows more about this than I do, but Chase was in the second group of suspensions of liquor licenses that went on. The first group was 2 restaurants up in Greeley on the 25th of November.
And Brandon and I are working together, which is one of he was actually number 1, the Bulldog up in Greeley. And then I just left El Charro to come and join you guys. And they were the second.
Okay. And the half an hour after Chase, the Lion's Den that you've heard about in Lyons, which is actually in Boulder County. The other 3 restaurants are all in Weld County. The Lion's Den is a little bit different. I want to highlight what Chase said. The actions in Weld County are purely state. There is no involvement by community. There's no involvement by Weld County. It's purely state.
That's correct.
And I don't know that it matters, but Chase was served by one individual from the state liquor board and 2 police officers. The point behind that, and from what I understand, I haven't found any details on it, and I've been looking, but there's apparently a coffee bar in Erie that has also been impacted since. My understanding is, once again, that's a community, county, state action rather than purely state. Erie, where that coffee bar is located, is right on the county line. Right in the corner of Weld County, but I believe they actually are in Weld. But at any rate, the point is the mode of operation seems to be about every week, there's another action, and the state seems to be ramping up the actions each time. So there's probably another one coming up shortly.
So what do you propose?
Say that, Madam.
What do you propose we do?
So the first thing that we need to do is get out as much media coverage as we can.
Okay.
I would like to work. Josh contacted me on Friday, and I've been slow about getting back to him. But I'd like to try and get an article going with Chase's help, with somebody from the Lions Den, if we can get that, to write up a story, to go into, hopefully, to submit to Being Libertarian and any other media outlet that we can get it to. Greeley Tribune would be another outstanding avenue. But I think what we need to do is paint the story, which is that these bar owners are being forced into bankruptcy by state action. And try and paint it from that angle.
Karen Ann is willing to help as well with the article. She's really good with communications and getting stuff read. So
I'm not sure how much value add I am, other than that I need to drive it.
All right, thank you.
If I may, I just wanted to add real quickly to your point about some of this being county enforcement versus some of this being state enforcement. The city of Greeley itself did decide that they were going to begin to enforce some of these things. There is actually a bar in Greeley called Starlight Station, if any of you are familiar. Mm-hmm. And the city of Greeley came in and filed several misdemeanor charges against them, shut them down, revoked their liquor license, which the city and the state can do, but the county cannot. So there are a few places, and Boulder is one, obviously Lyons is one, where the city and the county have chosen to enforce this. And to Bruce's point, our situation and the majority of our situations are very different from that, in that we are having state enforcement and a county that has specifically said, do not enforce this.
Thank you very much. We are running out of time. Frank Atwood is here. Your 3 minutes. Do you have anything?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. I'm your liaison to what's called the Center-Right Coalition that John Caldera hosts on second Mondays of the month. If anyone would like to attend, I attended through Zoom this morning. It's predominantly Republicans, disgruntled Republicans, some wanting to go more Trumpetarian. You're welcome to come. It's billed as a what's said there stays there, so that they can come up with their coalition of ideas going on.
Right.
As in addition to being your liaison to the Center-Right Coalition, I happen to be involved with the Approval Voting Party, and the Approval Voting effort currently is involved with a charter review committee in Denver that is considering changing the charter of Denver to perhaps eliminate runoffs, perhaps to eliminate a majority requirement, perhaps to change the meeting time, the election times from spring to fall, and perhaps to change the voting method. We're witnessing that. There's also a Secretary of State meeting tomorrow that Legislator Kennedy is wanting to have the state go with ranked choice voting. And that's about it. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Any other guests that would like to say something? Ms. Harlows?
I get to.
You also have your LNC report.
Yeah,
later,
that's
so-
totally separate.
Right.
Thank you, board, for this few moments, and I do ask that you hear me out. You know, my opinion has been, and it's gotten better, but that we have some significant dysfunction in LPCO that I would like to see solved. And I was hopeful that the quasi judicial committee that was started to be chaired by Reagan would do this, but I haven't heard anything further about that, and I'll inquire about that outside of my time. But the issue I have is that the board will remember that I asked for notice of the Constitution and Bylaws Committee meetings. There were 3 meetings that had been held, no notice at all. And I can tell you, when a national member writes me and says they want notice, I personally write them, even if it's been posted everywhere, because that's what you do with your membership. And as it turns out, this was critical. First, there was a committee member who knows nothing of any past history who innocently told me that the chair of the CMB committee made some highly negative references to the last committee. It's highly inappropriate, childish, and that kind of stuff needs to stop. Also, in reading the very brief report, I am alarmed. And not being there, I don't know if my alarm is reasonable or not. The committee is wasting its time by reinventing the wheel, which is foolish and disrespectful. How? This work has already been done by a relative expert who knows what they're doing. You don't do it piecemeal, as their report suggests. There are also, and I'm not exaggerating, existential implications for this party. And I don't see any recognition of this or any recognition of the things that are in RONR about the pitfalls of this process. You can't do this without that required expertise. Our bylaws are, in fact, a legal document. We could be getting into an Oregon situation. We could be setting ourselves up for a takeover, and I am not exaggerating. I spoke briefly with the chair about this. Lastly, member submissions are allowed for Constitution and bylaws. And the expert work that's already done will be submitted. The board will probably have it within 2 weeks. And the committee could be working with that and working with us, but they're not, because of the exact problems that I started this mini speech with. So I left last meeting really down because it's apparent to me that qualifications for tasks are not the primary goal. There was a board member who said that a certain someone they would never appoint to any committee, no matter how qualified they were. That is ridiculous. I'm on the LNC, and right now we're looking for audit committee members. There's a guy there who applied, who hates my guts, who takes every opportunity to say how my minutes suck and I suck. But he's qualified for the audit committee. He's a past treasurer. I'm gonna vote for him. I can't stand him, but he's qualified. We need to stop the cliques and the pettiness here, please. And whatever you want me to do to assist to have this end, I will do it. But let's be a meritocracy and think of the party first and not our egos and who is our friends. It doesn't matter. We're too small for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harlows. Anyone else want to say anything? We got about 2 minutes left. Done. All right, let's go move on with the agenda. Has everyone read the, affiliates report, Arapahoe?
All right. Hello, everybody. This is Eric Mulder, switching hats to the Arapahoe County chair role for a moment. For those who were not aware, we did not meet on the second Tuesday this month because in lieu of that, we will be encouraging people to participate in the Festivus. That'll be on the 23rd. We have link information on the LP Colorado page. And we will be looking forward to holding our next Arapahoe meeting in January. And that will be on the 11th. Nope, excuse me, the 12th.
of January.
That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Mulder. Please note that the capacity is very limited due to government restrictions, and tickets need to be pre-ordered. And if there are any changes to the location or the date, we will notify those people who have pre-ordered. Boulder. Is Bo here or anybody from Boulder County? No. Denver. Kyle's not here.
So we canceled this month's meeting. Restrictions. We're trying to.
We can't hear anything.
Are you connected to Zoom? Okay, then come over here so they can hear you. Like speak into the microphone. They can't hear you.
This month's meeting is canceled. We're going to try to get one going in January. Hopefully things will open up so we can get something on the books.
And you will be joining this Festivus party?
No.
The Denver County said they would. That's what I'm asking.
Oh, you said me or like
The Denver County affiliate. That's what you're speaking on behalf right now. You're speaking on behalf of the Denver County affiliate.
Right. And we're not having our meeting this month.
Right, you're not having our meeting this month and encouraging members to go to Festivus.
Oh yes, go to Festivus. It's going to be a rager. There's going to be cakes and stuff. It's pretty sweet.
Thanks. Right.
What was his name, Victoria?
That was Mark Cavan. Douglas County, if you'd come over here, please, Wayne.
Hi, everybody. This is Wayne Harlos. Douglas County had a pretty eventful month this month, believe it or not. We were able to host an election party, which was a pretty great success. It was a lot of fun. We held it at a private residence. We also had star lighting that was done in downtown Castle Rock, where the Douglas County group had a booth. And we had an awful lot of fun there and met a lot of people, got a couple people that want to start coming to our Douglas County meetings as soon as they're up and running again. So we made some contacts, and considering the restrictions that have been placed on us, pretty good month.
Thank you, Wayne. El Paso. Hang on. Go ahead.
Am I unmuted? No.
You should be unmuted.
I think so. Can you hear me? Better use yours.
You better use mine.
I'll
Okay.
set up right.
All right, then let me unmute mine. Go ahead.
Okay, El Paso has had 2 meetings this month, the board meeting and the birthday party. Both of them were under a tent, freezing our butts off at the Alchemy Bar and Grill in old Colorado City. It was the only place we could find that would allow, a small group. Even so, it was outside, basically in a tent with one of those kerosene heaters blowing at somebody else. But anyway, so we kept at it, and hopefully we'll be able to have our convention January, I think it's 9th. When that's supposed to be at the Tilted Kill, but I'm not sure they're going to be open. So we're going to have to keep an eye open for a place to hold that. We'll be having a board meeting the Thursday before that. That's going to be that's a Saturday. We're going to have our board meeting the Thursday before. That's it.
Thank you, John. That was John Jershman with El Paso County. Jefferson. Ross is not here.
I can speak, or Steve.
Either way.
Steve.
I didn't make it to the last one. I was at the El Paso event. Did you go to that one?
No, but I guess I can report they're continuing to meet. They did get kicked out of the bowling alley recently, so they don't know where they're meeting this month.
Thank you, Mike. Mesa County, I did see Mark Montoni around.
We have a fellow named Robert Ballard who is trying to formalize the Mesa County Libertarians. We held one meeting last week. Okay, he held one meeting last week. I was unable to attend. I will probably be unable to attend the next meeting as well. Anyway, he had one person stop by and sign the petition to form the local affiliate. And that's what we've got going on at the moment.
Was that all? You are muted.
That's it.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. And your meeting still at the Old Chicago?
Yeah.
We're meeting at the Old Chicago. Okay, thank you very much. Next is Pueblo.
We will not be having a December meeting. Polled the regular attendees, and we decided that we'd hold off. Not a whole lot of interest. Not really a topic to speak of. Everyone's on pins and needles. Are we going to be allowed to meet? Should we meet because of COVID? Frankly, this whole thing is killing our affiliates. Anyway, our next scheduled meeting is going to be January 19th, 6:30 at the Senate Bar and Grill in downtown Pueblo. If anybody care to join us, hopefully we'll be having a meeting.
Thank you, John. LNC report.
All righty. Now I can get lathered up over something else. Mostly good things to report. We had our meeting, though it was virtual, what would have been the quarterly budget meeting, and we did pass a balanced budget again, which is nice, unlike that one year. I did abstain on the budget. I was the only abstention because I didn't feel that they made a high enough commitment to the CRM, though it was because something was brought up at the last minute. So it was a weak abstention, but that is the reason for my abstention. I'm dedicated to making sure that the CRM is always fully supported and fully funded. But here's some very big changes. Dan Fishman, our executive director, his contract was not renewed. So his employment is terminated as of, I believe, January. Tyler Smith is our interim executive director. I'm not sure whether he'll become permanent or not, but we are going to be hiring a communications director and an activism director. So hopefully that improves our messaging. And there's been a lot of reorganization, including, unfortunately, letting go Jess Mears because her position was subsumed into some others to find, money to hire these two other employees. We had some interesting statistics in city council races, nonpartisan type races. Our libertarians in November won 28% of their races. That's approximate. I think I'm rounding up a little bit. And in partisan races, 8%. But now that's all the good news. The bad news is that the LNC continues, the national party, but the LNC guides the national party, continues to remain substantively silent on the civil rights violations going on. Why? I have no freaking idea. And I'm pretty pissed off about it. I did what I thought was a pretty conservative motion to at least establish a messaging committee to advise the chair and the executive director to finally start saying something. And they couldn't even see their way through to pass that. I did a show on my YouTube channel where I went through all the arguments so you can hear it all for yourself. Everyone seems to be hanging their hat in the fact, well, we're going to hire a communications director. Yeah, that could be 4 months from now. Oh, this whole thing is almost over. Really? You think government ever lets go of control? It starts? I don't know what it is. I think it's fear of being looked at as the loonies. But we are AWOL right now. And I basically told them, and I meant this absolutely, if you can't speak now, you might as well just dissolve the party because we're useless. This is the worst civil rights violation in peacetime in this country ever. changed everything. And the Libertarian Party is nowhere to be found. I am ashamed. It's ridiculous. I would encourage anyone who feels likewise to write the LNC, because they're not hearing from people too. They keep hearing from me that people are mad because I talk to them, but nobody ever bothers to write them. And it matters, particularly when they don't hear from anybody. Your one letter matters. So if you feel as passionately, please let them know. Because one of the arguments where the affiliates don't want us to say anything, we got to stay in our lane. So tell them you think, National should say something. It is their lane. So I would really appreciate the support, because I'm basically thrown to the wolves there. I'm really the black sheep right now for saying something.
Thank you,
But I'll
Ms.
continue
Harlows.
to.
Thank you, Ms. Harlows. Has everyone read the minutes? Any changes? I can't. You're not in the waiting room. And technology has to let you in.
Victoria, I don't see anyone waiting in the waiting room. Oh, never mind.
You're not here.
All right. Martin Funkhauser, that's the one.
That's Mark Calvin. Thanks. All right. Calendar item. Secretary?
Right. Right now, depending on the date for the convention, the delegates for the state and national convention need to be registered as Libertarian. So anyone that's going to do that, they need to be a Libertarian. The Colorado primary dates have not been set, and we use that to determine the latest convention date. I don't know, maybe Bet Rose can tell us. I don't think we actually have a date for the convention or a venue, which all that we're supposed to have by now.
There should be primaries in 2021.
Yeah, I looked for there's no primaries. Then maybe that's why I couldn't find the date.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Yeah, that'll make a problem. Okay, no worries. The bylaws say we need 4 months from appointment until convention. So we appointed people on the 9th. So the convention can be earlier than the 9th. But if we do have it that early, we got to make a call for the national delegate applications before the next board meeting. So, Bet Rose, do you have any information on the convention date?
I do have some information on the convention. We were looking at dates from the end of March to the mid-June, simply because we want to avoid COVID if we can possibly do so. I have a contract, which I thought I sent to the board. We don't have a contract. I have a bid. Actually, I'm working with 3 bids right now. And we should have something decided within 2 weeks as to date and location. Since there is not a primary, we don't have to worry about that. And there are no delegates to the National Convention until next year. So I don't think we have to worry about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'll during my convention report, I'll expand on that.
Thank you, Betty Rose. Officer reports. Chairman, I don't have much to add, but Festivus Celebration is very, very limited capacity due to COVID restrictions, government restrictions. The one place that is willing to host us, if there are further government restrictions, they could lose their liquor license. So we may have to find a different venue, but that will be announced on the Eventbrite and via email to anybody who has pre-registered. Tickets are 3 different price levels because there are 3 different things going on. We are ordering food, so I need to make sure we know how many people in advance, and the money to order the food will have to come out of the ticket. We're also ordering special mugs that will be part of the different of the 2nd and 3rd tier, as well as a commemorative shirt for the people ordering the 3rd tier. All of that should be covered by the price of the ticket. So it is very important that the tickets are sold in advance. And I want to ask the board permission to use the money from the ticket sales to purchase the food, and the other requirements for the party. It may be up to, I don't know, $500, which is more than I'm allowed to spend. So I'd like to make a motion to request up to $500 for spending in the Festivus event. The money should come from the ticket sales. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So there's a motion and a second to spend up to $500 for Festivus. Is there, all in favor, please vote. I'll go in order, because if I just ask if anybody is opposed, they might have muted. So Vice Chair?
We have discussion first.
Pardon?
Discussion.
Discussion. Okay, any?
Madam Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Vice Chair.
Question, who was that second from?
Betty Rose Ryan and John Jershman.
All right, no other questions from me.
Okay, any other questions from anybody else? And like I said, the money should come straight out of the ticket sales.
Like Mike Spalding has his hand up.
Go ahead, Mike.
So $500, what's our capacity and what's the price of the tickets?
The price of the tickets range between $20 and $50.
And the capacity limit is?
5.
So 25.
We might be allowed to have more, but at the moment it's 25.
So 25 to $20 would be like 450. So
yeah,
we sell everything out and get some of the higher tiers, we might barely have enough to refund the 500.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be more than, we would be taking the money straight out of the ticket sales. So if it is, that's why I'm saying up to, because depending on what tier they buy is what we get for them as well. You know, what the amount of food, whether they'd get a mug or they don't get a mug, whether, you know, it's because they would purchase everything when they're purchasing their ticket. So we don't go over that.
Okay. No more questions.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Should we move to a vote? With no further questions, let's vote on it. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Treasurer?
Yes.
Fundraising?
Yes.
Campaigns?
Yes.
Outreach? He's nodding and said yes. Affiliates?
Yes.
Membership?
Yes.
Communications?
Yes.
Secretary?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, with no opposed, the motion passes. So remember, Festivus is on the 23rd at 6:30. So far, it will be at Purgatory in Parker. The county allows for up to 25 people right now. That may change. It's supposed to end on December 21st, and that may go to a bigger number, but at the moment, it's 25 people max. That's all from my report. Vice Chair. Eric?
Yeah, sorry about that. Lost my windows. Eric Mulder, switching hats again to LPCO Vice Chair. The only big thing I would like to use my time for, backtracking to what our guest speaker was talking about. Parrots does have a Facebook page, and on their Facebook page, they have a link to their GoFundMe account. Please go ahead and give to that so we can support them with not only just our words, but the one thing that drives the economy and what libertarians say is pretty important to a freed society, and that is trade and currency. Other than that, I don't have anything else to add to my report.
Treasurer?
Nothing to add.
Fundraising?
The only thing I have to add is that I would like to send out invitation for bringing in, actually it's in my report. Never mind. I have nothing to add.
Thank you. Campaigns?
Nothing to add to my report. If you look at my report and haven't seen it, it was late. There's a long paper written up by Alan Heyman on results from this year's election with some analysis of what happened. One other note is that beyond the Parrots GoFundMe, there is also another group up here in Weld County that has a GoFundMe page for a legal defense fund for all of the restaurants. I can get details of that. I don't have it off the top of my head.
Would you send it to the email list, please?
Sure.
Thank you, Bruce. Anything further?
Nope.
Outreach.
Hey, everyone. So can you hear me all right? All right. So starting the second Thursday of January, the 14th, we're going to be doing a monthly LPCO leadership forum, and it's kind of just like it's meant to make open channels of communication, and it's not going to be anything too formal. There's not going to be Robert's rules or anything like that. It's going to be a place where you can come and kind of hash out ideas, share best practices, and kind of if you have any ideas for things you want to try or do, this will be a place to kind of workshop it out. I'm going to create the event and post it on the CRM soon, so there'll be more details. It's going to be on Zoom, just like this, and I'll be hosting it. And originally, it was supposed to be just for anybody in some sort of leadership position, but I guess would we be able to make it open to everybody, or would there be some sort of confidential issues?
If there's transparency, no, there's no privacy issue.
Okay, yeah, so that's going to start the 14th. Hopefully you can attend. That's it.
Okay. Affiliates.
Hello. Let's see. I strongly encourage all the affiliate leadership, the county affiliates, to attend this Thursday at 6 p.m. Andy Burns, Civi CRM. It's sort of a collaborative nationwide virtual call. We'll be talking about how to build affiliates and how to use Civi CRM to do that. And yeah, everyone, if you didn't get that email me, affiliatesdirector@lpcolorado.org, and I can send you that information. And second, I believe it was Ryan Kane from Clear Creek County. If you would email me at affiliatesdirector@lpcolorado.org, I can give you some information about Clear Creek and getting a development group started there. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Steve. Legislative is currently vacant. There was some interest by Sarah Brooke. She's not here this month, but she may be willing to do it next month. Membership. What was that?
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add. We have the newsletters in hand now.
Okay. Did we get a quote?
No, we have them in our hands. They've already been mailed, and the rest of them for each affiliate are already here.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for
You're welcome. Yeah, we got it under the budget, so it's all done and finished. Communications, Josh?
Yes, just I'm starting to work on this press release for the lockdowns, and that is what the state gets the restaurants. So if anyone wants to help out with that, it would help. So if they want to contact me through the communications email or Facebook, that'd be nice.
Thank you, Josh. Any other questions for Josh? Somebody seemed to be speaking at the same time. No. Secretary?
Okay, now that I'm unmuted, I sound even better. I have nothing to add to my report. I did notice in your report, Victoria, that you mentioned newsletters that have been mailed. I haven't gotten one, so I'm wondering.
They went out Friday, so.
Oh, yeah, okay. Not there yet. And then for John Treasurer, is it true that we have $23,000 available for outreach events and other communications?
You're asking me to remember.
Well, that was a number that was.
Report says.
He says that whatever his report says is correct.
Okay, that's something everybody should be thinking about. That's quite a resource, and it could make a difference as far as getting more people involved. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Technology. Do you have anything to report?
No, I don't. David sent me over some information about possibly switching the email server providers. I have a task to work on that this week. So I'll be getting around to that, but yeah, nothing else.
Thank you. David?
I would like to encourage all
We can't hear him, Victoria.
It looks like you're muted. It should be on the bottom left.
Okay. I would like to encourage all the affiliate people to update their events on the website. We should keep those up to date. That's all I have.
Thank you, David. Okay. Welcome Committee. Mr. Montoni.
I submitted a written report. I don't think I have anything to add to it. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you. Mark. I guess there's no campaigns committee issues right now, legislative. So Constitution and Bylaws Committee.
Madam Chairman?
Yes?
I have a question before we get into the Bylaws Committee report. It's my understanding that we still are 3 people short on the Bylaws Committee. We have 3 vacancies because 3 affiliates didn't appoint. Is that correct?
That is not correct.
What's the present status of the membership of the Bylaws Committee?
Betty Rose, do you have the list of all of the members of the Bylaws Committee?
I don't have it in front of me, but we have 11 people.
My question is, do we have any vacancies in the Bylaws Committee?
No, because all the seats that were allowed to be filled have been filled.
Okay. It was my understanding that there were 3 affiliates that did not appoint, and that those usually fall to the state board to appoint. But if I'm incorrect on that.
The bylaws state that the state board is only allowed to put people in at the beginning of when they first set the committee. they appointed the 5 that they chose to appoint. So there are no vacancies for the state to fill.
And the affiliates, Jefferson and Boulder did send, they did appoint people, didn't they?
Yes,
I asked them both.
we have Margot and Bo.
You may want to ask Ross again.
That wasn't heard at the last meeting.
Well,
That didn't happen before the last meeting.
so there is no vacancy, but Delta has no people in Delta. They would be able to appoint someone from Delta.
But they're not unaffiliated. They are an affiliate, and the bylaws does not say what they.
Okay, maybe we should read Article 6, Section 1, subsection B. Let's see what it says. Bylaws. Article 6, state committees. Section 1, subsection B. Each chartered affiliate may appoint 1 member to each committee. Should an affiliate not appoint a committee member, the board may appoint an additional at-large member at the time of committee formation. The board shall solicit 1 committee member from each chartered affiliate on the same schedule implemented by the board pursuant to subsection 1 above. And its meeting for appointment of the members of the committees, it shall confirm such committee members as have been certified by the affiliate representatives. If a committee member appointed by an affiliate resigns from a committee or fails to attend 2 consecutive committee votes, the affiliate may appoint a replacement. It says at the time of formation.
That was last month, and you specifically said that you were going to put it off to this month. Last month, I asked you specifically.
I said I would ask the affiliates if they had appointed anybody. That is what I told you specifically. And then I checked the bylaws and found out that no, we don't have the right to do so. The affiliates do, we don't have the right.
This should be brought to a vote.
It's the delegates that have to vote on it.
It is not. The board should.
You are out of order, Mr. Harlos.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Pickrell.
as a member of this board, I move that we appoint 3 members to fill the 3 vacancies.
There are not 3 vacancies.
Madam Chairman, in my opinion, we have 3 vacancies. I have made a motion.
Second.
Mr. Pickrell, would you please tell me which 3 vacancies exist?
In my opinion, we have 3 affiliates that did not appoint, and therefore we have 3 vacancies.
The chair of the affiliates of Boulder County and Jefferson County appointed people to the Constitution and Bylaws Committee. Should we trample on the affiliates' rights as the state board? Hang on a second, Karen.
Before we go into discussion, do we have a second?
There was a second.
Second.
It has been seconded. Please tell me which 3 affiliates did not appoint.
I believe it was Delta, Jefferson, and the other one's not coming to mind.
Boulder.
Boulder, thank you. Where were the names of the 3 appointees?
Margot from Jefferson.
Who's that? I'm sorry.
Margot is from Jefferson.
Okay.
Who
Yeah,
appointed
sure.
Margot to Jefferson County, Mike?
Say again, Victoria.
Who appointed Margot to Jefferson County?
Ross, the president.
Did-
Margot did our bylaws. She did a good job.
Did the county appoint her?
Yes. As far as I know, yes.
Betty Rose, who's the person from Boulder County?
Oh, Schaefer. And I believe he was appointed.
Well, he is the chair of Boulder County, so I would imagine that he would have been appointed. I can't go back to tons and tons of emails to find where it is, but I knew that there was appointments even back then, and I confirmed later.
And Delta?
There is no people in Delta. The
Are they
affiliate of Delta County could appoint someone if they were a functioning affiliate. They haven't met in over a year.
Are they classified as an affiliate?
They are classified as an affiliate. Karen Ann, hold on a second, John. Karen Ann?
Madam Chair, if they're not disaffiliated, they are an affiliate. Whether or not they meet or not, or they could or could not appoint is not the board's issue. The board may fill that seat.
At the formation time.
At the time of committee formation, but I raised this issue at that time. And I also raised it by email. It was timely raised. Also, since there was no public notice of these meetings, the committee is still in its formation. I asked for public notice. I wasn't given it. You can't deny things being heard, not give notice, and then tell the members it's too late. That is an absolute trampling of member rights. There is one seat to be appointed, and it should be appointed. I do not even understand the pushback on this.
Thank you, Ms. Harlos. Ms. Ryan?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Oh, all right. We did have 3 meetings. The first one was simply an organizational meeting, and that was to elect the chair. The next 2, we've been going over the documents. We have been going over the document that Karen Ann says we're not using, which is the document from last cycle. So we've been looking at that and making our changes from that and from the 2 documents that we currently have. The committee works very well. Everybody seems to be on the same page and agree with things. I did make a grave error, did not realize that I missed someone, but that has been remedied now, I believe.
Is there public notice being made of the meeting? Posted online.
It's on the events page. I've not set up a meeting yet, but all meetings, if you want to attend in person, they can meet with me at my house. And our meetings are at 8 o'clock tomorrow night, 8 o'clock till about 9:30. And we're about halfway through our documents. Eric, can you give us a good idea exactly where we're at?
Let me go ahead and pull up what we're working off of real quick. Give me just a moment here. All right.
It's not germane to my motion. My motion was on filling vacancies, not what the agenda of the committee was. It seems that we have one vacancy in the committee. And I think that if someone wants to participate on the committee, that they have a right to fill that vacancy.
Mr. Harlos has his hand up. Is there any objection from the board to listen to him? Without objection, Mr. Harlos will address the board.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It was specifically laid out that in order to be considered to be on the Constitution and Bylaws Committee, applications had to be received before the last meeting. Ross told me specifically that Jeffco had not appointed anybody, so if they did,
It's
after
hearsay,
the fact,
it's
after the
irrelevant.
date. It's not irrelevant.
The affiliate appointed, whether it was, whatever Ross told you, I wasn't present, none of the board was present, Ross is not here. So therefore it's irrelevant, it's hearsay. What is relevant is the motion in place right now, not what Ross said or didn't say.
It's not.
It's the
because you
motion
wouldn't
in
allow
place.
Mike Seebeck to be voted on without a formal application before the last meeting. Nobody had done that. So if anybody has been voted in by their affiliates after the fact,
That is up
didn't
to
meet
each
your own
affiliate,
criteria.
not mine. And according to the bylaws, the affiliates can do that, we can't. So that's not the question at hand. It's not relevant to the question that Pickerel has or the motion that he has made, which is to fill the affiliate for the vacancy from Delta County. So let's stick to the issue, not what somebody said or didn't say. Okay, so the motion is there any further discussion on the motion? Would you raise the motion, Mr. Pickerel? Would you say what the motion is again? Because with all the discussion, it's not in front of me. Mr. Pickerel.
I can read it.
Oh, you can read it. Okay, Mr. Spalding, would you read the motion, please?
John Pickerel move that we fill appointments from Delta, Jefferson, and Boulder for the bylaws and constitution committees.
Okay, Ms. Ryan?
I would just like to point out that the bylaws are clear, that we don't have a right to do this after the fact. And that I think that we have 11 people on our committee, which is more than enough people to do the job. That's all.
Now, your committee is doing all of your votes via consensus?
We're doing our work through consensus. And when we get the final document, of course, we'll have a formal vote. But I would like to point out that Ms. Harlos was wrong. We are using the document that we had from last cycle, and that the only thing I said in the committee meeting that I remember saying about the last cycle was that we had disagreements about what was substantive changes and a disagreement about what the threshold would be, which is what I said at the state convention. It's nothing new.
No, I thought you were going to.
What?
No, somebody here. I thought that somebody was trying to speak and they weren't.
I just got a text from John. His computer died. He's going to try to log back in.
Okay, we'll give him a minute because he still shows like he's on there.
He says he's waiting for you to let him back in.
Mike, would you let John back in?
Oh, I didn't see that he showed up again. Yeah, he's coming in now.
Okay, thank you. John Pickerel, are you in?
Yeah, my apologies. Not sure what I missed.
Mike, could you fill it, John, on what he missed? How long were you gone?
About 5 minutes.
Yeah, you didn't miss very much. Were you there when Karen Ann was speaking?
No, I missed that.
Okay. She just stated that she should have been notified about the meetings, and Bet Rose noted that the current members were working together well, and that their next meeting is tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Okay. Yes, I did hear that then.
Would you like to argue for your motion, Mr. Pickerel?
Yes, I would like to put before the board. I think we're arguing over a matter of opinion on the bylaws, and I would like the board to interpret as a whole, not just the chairman, on whether a vacancy exists, and if so, how we're going to fill that.
Madam Chair.
Well, I didn't make an interpretation. I just read what the bylaw said. Mr. Dershman.
Well, I think that as Betty Rose said, that they've had 4 meetings. To me, that says that the committee is formed.
Thank you, Mr. Dershman. Anyone else? Mr. Spalding, go ahead.
Madam Chair, this is for John. John, it looks like we might, did you want to change that to 1 vacancy in light of the appointments from Boulder and Jefferson, or you want to leave your motion at 3 vacancies?
If Jefferson is appointed and Boulder is appointed, then I amend my motion as filling 1 vacancy instead of 3.
There is a motion that has been amended to request that the board fill one vacancy for the Constitution and Bylaws Committee. Is there a second to the amendment?
Second.
It is seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? Would we vote to confirm that the amendment words as amendment? Oh, God. Is there any opposed to the amendment? We're not voting on the motion yet, just on the amendment to the motion. Any opposed? Okay, without any opposition, the motion now states that we would like to fill one vacancy on the Constitution Bylaws Committee. Is that the correct wording, Mr. Pickerel?
Yes, thank you.
Mike Spalding, do you have that, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, John Pickerel, the new motion is John Pickerel moves that we filled the appointment from Delta.
Correct.
All right, any further discussion?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Mulder.
I do have a discussion item, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Basically where it just says time of committee formation. Do we have anything that clarifies what committee formation was? Because as I understand committee formation, that was basically what happened at the last meeting.
That is my understanding as well, but I don't know. Ms. Harlow's has her hand up. Is there anyone opposed to listening to Ms. Harlow's? Again, even though Robert's rule says the one person can speak to one.
Object.
There's an objection to listen to hearing from someone not on the board. So any further discussion from the members on the board?
If somebody objects, then it goes to a vote of the whole board on whether or not we allowed her here.
Go ahead and vote.
Are we voting now, or do we have more discussion, or did I miss
We're
discussion?
voting on whether to hear Ms. Harlow's.
Do we have discussion on the matter, or are we just voting?
No, just voting. There's no discussion.
I vote yes.
Treasurer?
Yes.
Secretary?
No.
No. Campaigns?
Yes.
Affiliates?
I'm sorry, the motion is
To listen to Ms. Harlow's on the motion again.
yes.
Josh, communications?
Yes.
Mark? Yep.
I'll be very brief. I just think something has gotten lost. The question isn't whether the committee was formed last time. I think it's pretty obvious it was. However, this issue, points of order or breaches, if they're timely raised, they're still pending. I asked about the Delta affiliate at that meeting. I raised it timely, and I also sent an email. So you can't ignore a request and then by the time we're able to have a formal motion, say, well, it's too late, we already did it. That you just can't do that. That should be obvious to everyone. So I think it's being focused on the wrong thing. Members have a right to ask about appointments. It was done. So the board, to cure that, needs to address it now and not say, well, we did it last time. I asked last time and wasn't answered.
Thank you, Ms. Harlow's. Any further discussion? Is anybody raising their hand? Is there any further discussion on this motion?
We have a hand up from Como, Madam Chair.
From who?
Communications.
Oh, Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say I think if we have a vacancy and someone wants to fill it, I think we should give them the opportunity to do that.
Now, there was a request from Mr. Pickerel that the whole board interpret the wording of the committee. Is that what is it called? An incidental motion that we interpret it as a board in whole?
Oh, I never made an incidental motion. That was just part of discussion.
Oh, just part of the discussion. Okay.
But my motion stands and it needs a vote.
Are you calling the question?
Calling the question then is debate. If anybody else would like debate, I'm not opposed to it.
Is there any further debate?
Let's say that I agree with Ms. Harlow.
Thank you, Mr. Gershman. Any further debate? Yes, no, or should we just go ahead and vote?
Call the question.
All right. Vice Chair?
No.
Treasurer?
Yes.
Fundraising?
No.
Campaigns?
Yes.
Outreach? Affiliates?
Yes.
Membership?
How did outreach vote?
Yes.
Yes. Membership?
Yes.
Communications?
Yes.
Secretary?
No.
What's the count, Mr. Secretary?
We have 6 yeses and 3 nos.
Thank you. So the motion passes that the board will appoint a person to fill in this vacancy. Please email Mr. Secretary. Will the members of the board please email Mr. Secretary with who you think should fill said vacancy?
Question, Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Mulder.
All right, Vice Chair speaking. What are the options again for this vacancy? Are there designated candidates, or how's this going again?
The people that had applied before, there was a Mr. Seebeck, Mr. Harlow's withdrew his application, Ms. Harlow's, and anybody else who had applied earlier.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
there was one other person, I don't know, was it Kat or somebody else that was at the last meeting?
Yeah, Kat.
Scott who had applied.
Madam Chair,
You, go ahead.
there was a tie, and then Ms. Pogue won the tie. I would ask the board to consider that 3 other people, and the tie should be 3 people.
Madam Secretary?
Miss Ryan.
Yes, this is a brand new vote, and so I would like to consider, I would like the secretary to read off the name of the person that was there last meeting that applied.
Mike, do you have a list of all the applicants? Do I need to go on the job form?
I have a list of all the people we voted on, which I assume would be all the applicants.
There was 10 people on that list.
Yeah. Let's see. Wow. Let's see. Yes, 10 candidates.
Would you provide those names, please?
Okay.
The ones that were-
Should I skip over the ones that were elected?
Yes, skip over the ones that were elected, please.
Okay, so we have Judy Darcy, Mike Seebeck, Karen Ann Harlos, Scott Helker, Michelle Pogue.
She's been.
Oh, she's on it. Oh, yeah, never mind. Okay, so just those three: Judy Darcy, Mike Seebeck, Karen Ann Harlos, and Scott Helker. I guess that's four.
And Judy, right? Okay.
Yeah, Judy Darcy. So we had four there. We also have none of the above.
Or none of the above as well. In every vote from the Libertarian Party, we include NODA. So Mr. Seebeck and Mr. Harlos had their hand up. Is there any objection to hearing what they have to say?
Madam Chairman, as a board member, I'd like to speak first.
Go ahead, Mr. Pickrell.
It seems that we as a board have voted before. I know some time has passed, but my suggestion would be to save time, we consider the order in which we voted last, and the top vote getter from that last vote be the one that filled the vacancy. Perhaps that'd be a simplest way to do this.
It was a tie.
Maybe we can vote on those two people that tied.
3 people tied.
It was a four-way tie.
A 4-way tie.
Oh, okay.
That's after, those are the 4 names that were given as a 4-way tie.
Right, and then Michelle won on the second.
Right. Then after, there was a 5-way tie. Mr. Harlos dropped off. And Scott, Mike, and Karen. Mike Spalding has the numbers. I don't. Because I didn't even look at the vote. I prefer not to. So if you would please, on those 4 names, send your vote. Oh, Mr. Seebeck has something to say. If you'd come to the computer so they can hear you. As long as there's no opposition from the board, we are going to hear from Mr. Seebeck. Go ahead.
Okay, it seems to me that submitting names by email to the board is not the most efficient way to deal with this. The bylaws committee has already had several meetings, which means already doing work. Yeah,
It'll take a minute to do that, Mike, if they send the name to Mike
Please
Spalding.
let me finish. I think it makes more sense just have the vote now, and that will give whoever's appointed the chance to catch up on where the committee is at between now and their next meeting,
right,
with the maximum amount of time to be able to do so. So
So,
let's just get this accomplished
Mr.
now instead
Seebeck,
of postponing it.
if we email right now, Mr. Spalding will have the results in the next 30 seconds, and I won't know who it is, nor anybody will know who voted how. It is to keep it impartial and to keep me from swaying the vote that I've requested it to be in writing to Mr. Spalding, like we did last time. It only takes a few minutes. Mr. Harlos.
Madam Chair, if I recall correctly, Judy Darcy never put in an application to be considered for this committee. So she should not be included in this vote.
I'm not going to exclude her because if she got votes before, I don't know what the vote totals were. I won't exclude her because they allowed it last time.
You allowed it.
Well, the board did.
She was part of the 4-way tie.
She was part of a 4-way tie, so she should be included.
My point is why she should not be allowed this time. She never applied. Consistent that you had to have formal application.
And NODA. So there's a 4-way tie and NODA. If you would send your votes now to the secretary. If there should be a tie, let me know and I'll vote.
Mike, I just sent mine. You should have received it.
Do you have email access? Okay.
John, yours hasn't come through yet. Several others have.
Okay, let me send again. Okay. I think I know what happened, Mike. I sent to your personal instead of your secretary's email. I just sent it to the secretary's email.
Hey, Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Mulder.
I think communications has his hand up again.
We're in the middle of a vote. Is there a question, Mr. Lallement?
Oh, no, I forgot to lower it again.
Okay.
Mike, did you get it okay that time?
Yeah, I got it. Okay, I have 7 votes. Oh, we're missing me. Okay, I think I have a vote from the chair.
Is there a tie?
No. Okay, I have 8 votes. Let me see who else is missing. David. Database hasn't voted.
David who?
Oh, does database doesn't get a vote, right? No. Okay. So
The people that get a vote, vice chair, treasurer, fundraising, campaigns, outreach, affiliates, membership, communications, and secretary.
okay, that's everybody. We have totals.
You have totals.
You want the totals or you want the winner?
The winner, I guess.
Okay, Mike Seebeck by a wide margin.
Mike Seebeck by a wide margin. Congratulations, Mr. Seebeck. Now we were on the Constitution and Bylaws Committee. Is there anything further for your report? All right, Convention Committee. Ms. Ryan? I think she's not in the room. Oh, there she is.
I'm sorry. Back to convention and bylaws. If there are any questions, I will take them. Hearing none, then you asked about the
Convention Committee. Now we go to
committee now. We have in hand 2 contracts. so far, or 2 proposals, I should say. I was able to reduce the food and beverage limit on the one contract. With that in mind, and with the AV and everything, I believe that we can make this happen for less than $12,000, which should be supported by ticket sales. Do I need to ask the board to approve $12,000?
Yeah, you have to make a motion, right?
Okay, okay. I move that the board authorize up to $12,000, allocate $12,000 towards the convention.
For the venue and stuff, yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion to allocate up to $12,000 for the convention for 2021 for the venue and so forth. It has been seconded. Is there any discussion as to the motion? Mr. Cavan.
Madam Chair?
They're getting bids right now. Mr. Seebeck has a question apparently. Is there any objection from the board to listen to Mr. Seebeck when it comes to convention committee?
Maybe board members first.
Yes, please. Okay, we're going to do board members first. Go ahead.
Ooh. Okay, I think she wants Mike to speak, so Mike's speaking.
Go ahead, Mike.
Bet Rose, do you know how much we raised in ticket sales and donations total last year, or maybe John knows that number?
John knows that number, though he sent it to me, and because of the way that things happened, that's not an accurate amount. I do know that the very first convention that Michelle and I did for the state in the 90s, we brought in revenues of $12,000. My goal is to make sure that the ticket sales pays for the convention and all fundraising at the convention goes to the state party.
John, could you pull up the number for the most recent non-COVID off-year convention? I guess that would be
actually this year.
2017.
What did we make this year?
No, maybe 2019. Yeah, 2019. How much did we take in?
All right, well, we're waiting for John to find that. John Pickerel had a question.
My question got answered. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Montoni, we're going with board members first, then I will listen to your question. Anybody else on the board have any questions? Any further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
In addition, the $12,000 is just for the venue?
Venue, food, beverages.
May I answer that? We have to, in order to have the space free, we have to guarantee $6,500 worth of food and beverage. That is before taxes and service charge. So that amounts to about $8,500. And then the venue is free. There will be name badges, decor, other things that have to be paid for, including advertising. I'm roughly guessing that we will need at least $12,000. And it is my goal to make sure that everything is paid for by ticket sales. This is how Michelle and I have always run the convention when we did them before.
Thank you, ma'am. That's the answer I was looking for.
John, did you find that number?
Yes, it was just under 12,000 for 2019.
You said it was just over $12,000 2019, just under. And 2019 was a mess, if I remember correctly. So just under $12,000 from 2019 is the number from Mr. Jersh. So Mr. Seebeck and Mr. Montoni, because the board is already, all the more board members have been heard.
What? Just a short and sweet. Did the committee give any insight into both when and where they're looking at for the convention? I asked the question because I'm starting to plan college campuses for my son. I'm trying to figure out how to schedule it.
We have no clue as to the date because of the COVID restrictions. Ms. Ryan? Place an approximate time of month of the convention that we're looking at?
We're looking at not Easter weekend, but the end of April, not Mother's Day, but up through the mid-June. One of our venues has given us very flexible dates. I spoke to the Sheraton today. They are offering the first weekend in May to us, and I will know more as soon as my committee meets, but we're trying to have it as late as possible to avoid COVID conflicts. So hopefully the end of April or sometime in May.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Mr. Montoni, go ahead. Oh, where?
Oh, we're looking in Golden. We looked in, because it's a golden anniversary, we looked in Golden. I looked in Cripple Creek. There's nothing that can house us. I looked in up in Central City, and I just couldn't find any venue that was working. So we're now down in quote unquote Golden, but it's not. I mean, it's actually Golden, but it feels like the metro area.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Montoni, you had a question or comment?
First, a quip. I think Polis is still going to be in office, so no matter what date we choose, COVID happenstances are probably always going to be a concern next year. My question, though, was $12,000 is a lot of money. The last several conventions that we've had, last year I think we had less than 50 people. The year before that, we didn't have much more than that. $12,000 divided by 50 people rounds out to $240 per person that comes to the convention. And in my view, unless we're able to figure out some way of massively increasing the attendance at these things, we're spending an awful lot of donor money on something that 50 people out of our 45,000 registrants are enjoying. So what can we do to encourage not 50, but 300 or 500 people to attend these things?
I have set the venue for approximately 130 people. That's what I intend to, that's my goal, to get 130 people. The last convention, I believe Michelle said they sold 70 tickets. So.
The unconvention?
Pardon?
Unconvention? Or the 2019?
Right, the unconvention. They sold 70 tickets. I believe that's what Michelle said.
Yeah, we sold out in the unconvention. And we ended up making money, so.
So I really don't think that this is going to be an issue. But I understand that. Would it be better to restate the motion that I will not overspend the ticket money by more than $2,000? Would that make the board feel better?
And there's shaking heads of no. Right now, the motion is up to $12,000. And there's a second. Any, yes, John?
In 2019, we had 15 sponsorships and 58 tickets.
15, but the sponsorships included meals and stuff, right? Yeah, so 15 sponsorships, 58 meal tickets. And what was the total dollar?
8,100 plus 3,600.
$1,170 on a one-day unconvention of ticket sales. So $12,000 does not seem like a huge amount. 2019, no, 2020. 2019 was 11,700 from ticket sales and sponsorships. 2020, the unconvention. I'm just repeating everything so that people will hear online.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Griffith,
motion to extend.
is there a second? To extend by how long?
15 minutes.
Is there a second? Is there a second on the motion to extend? Heck, I'll second it. Any discussion? John, are you speaking? You're muted.
What's the purpose?
We're over time.
We're over time on this discussion.
We're also over time on the meeting.
Well, the meeting ends at 10.
Published as 9, but okay.
Motion to extend the meeting by 15 minutes is Bruce's motion.
Okay.
Any opposed? Mr. Gershman.
The tickets for 2020 were 11,766. Sponsorships were 5,500.
So we made
better.
$16,000 in 2020 during COVID on ticket sales and sponsorships. I think 12,000. Is there a vote on the $12,000? But is there any further discussion? Did everyone hear the numbers from John that in 2020, the ticket sales and sponsorships ended up to over $16,000? Is there any further discussion on the motion to allocate up to $12,000 for the convention for 2021?
I have a question real quick before we vote, please.
Go ahead.
If we, for some reason, sell 200 tickets and it costs more than the $12,000 to pay for the food and beverage and whatever, are we allowed to spend that ticket money even though we're voting at 12?
You'd have to make another motion.
Okay.
I think, I don't know.
I'm asking the board's opinion.
Yes, that's correct. That'd be a separate motion, or you can amend the motion.
Could I amend the motion to say up to $12,000 for ticket sales?
You could. Do you want to amend the motion?
I just don't want to have to get in a position where I have to turn tickets down.
If she sells more than $12,000 and end up having to spend more than $12,000 because it's food and beverage.
Makes sense.
So the motion would be to spend up to the amount of the ticket sales, but no more than $12,000 should the ticket sales not get to 12,000.
That would be it.
So there is a motion that the amended motion would be, there's that to spend $12,000 or up to the amount of ticket sales, whichever is higher, up to the ticket sales if it were more than 12,000, whichever is higher. Is that clear? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this? Without hearing any, let's move to a vote. We can get out of here. Vice Chair.
Yes.
Treasurer,
Yes.
fundraising,
Abstain, it's my motion. I mean, it's
campaigns. Campaigns,
Yes.
outreach, affiliates,
Yes.
membership,
Yes.
communications,
Yes.
secretary.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
thank you, board.
I think there is no further business.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
Hey, Frank, what's the painting? You're muted, Frank. Frank, you're muted.
Mike, you might think it's my mother, and it does look very much like her, but it's really a Japanese print of an